Hello folks, I'm going to do a review on this book, Kunu, Winnebago Boy Escapes the Winnebago Indians. This was rather disquieting. Now let me give you some timeline on this book. Was copyright 89. This was printed September 2003. I may have read it back over 10 years ago originally, but I haven't read in the last 4 or 5 years certainly. But I read it the other day. The background is, in the early 1860s, the Sioux in Minnesota had an uprising. The Winnebago had been moved by 2 treaties on land, and finally their land in Minnesota was taken away, and they were ejected because of the Sioux uprising. There was a secret society formed to get all the Indians out. They passed a state law. They got them kicked out. This is during the time of the Civil War. This is a fictional account. It's a historical novel. I tried to do a little research in the background over the internet. Apparently about 2,000 peaceful Winnebagos were ejected from their home. Now they had already been moved. They had a treaty. They were promised this land. What the state did was they took the land and then said, well, we'll sell it and spend the money to put you up in a new place over in South Dakota. Barren land. The corn did not grow. It was too dry. You heard about the Trail of Tears and other things. These numbers are about 2,000 Winnebagos removed. Now the Sioux part, there are other discussions on the Sioux and whether they were justified. We're not going to get into that. This is a separate issue for now, for this topic today. Up to 1,000 died. Up to 1,000 of the Winnebago died. It's hard to get the numbers exact. This book mentions, I don't know, 700 or 800, they say. Looking into one of the problems is when they were settled in South Dakota, and already dozens had died after a long circuitous trip from Minnesota. Some of them left. Many of the Winnebago left to avoid starvation and almost certain death on this new land they supposedly had. So the numbers vary. The numbers seem to vary from 600 to 1,000 died, and they forced movement. And then in the early months where they could not have a corn crop, it was just very poor condition. If people live up in this area like I do, it's supposed to be drier in western Iowa, and then as you get into the Dakotas, it gets drier still, and conditions worsen rapidly. The weather in North and South Dakota tends to be even much worse than Minnesota and Iowa. Minnesota and Iowa weather is no fun. It's worse than the Boston area. I didn't know that before I moved out here. Now under this so-called global warming, we've had 10 years pretty much of cooler weather and wetter weather. Climate seems to be changing but not getting warmer like they claim. The boy and his grandfather survive. I'll give that part away. I kind of like the book. It's disquieting that these people passed a law and moved them. The union version, if you will, the 1 or 2 situations I found online, they give more of the dollar amount. Someone was given $1,500 to organize this removal of these people. $1,500, you consider it to be about $150,000 in today's money. People who worked in the Army and worked regular labor, blue collar type jobs in the 1860s, you would get $1 a day. And it wasn't necessarily an 8 hour, it wouldn't be an 8 hour day either. But you could get $1 or maybe $2 a day. But these people had their land taken away, and let's say around 800, that's kind of a median number I came across. Maybe 800 or around 2,000 died. The 2,000 number is less in dispute. It seems to vary from about 1950 to 2030. The numbers don't vary as much. The numbers vary more on the deaths. The deaths seem to be more like 800 plus or minus 200 from the sources I looked at. But this, I can see a day very soon where middle class whites and even blacks and probably not illegal immigrants but could be removed from their land in modern America in the late 20 teens, removed from their land, have their land sold for pennies at an auction, and then to pay for their forced incarceration and removal. I could see that kind of thing happening now, but this is what happened 150 years ago. And the secret society, one was a person I came across was the Charles Chapman. The St. Paul paper was all for, getting rid of the innocent Indians. This wasn't just the Sioux. The Sioux numbers were probably a little higher after their uprising. Apparently this is historically accurate. A couple of the Winnebago went and killed a couple of the Sioux instigators and took their scalps. But the white people didn't look upon that with favor like the Winnebago thought they might. They looked upon it disdained and then continued to group the Winnebago and the Sioux tribes together. I'm familiar with this. Let me show you really fast the map. I lived in northeast Iowa and southwest Iowa, and if you look at the circuitous route going all the way around Iowa, of course I'm familiar with basically all of it. So 1863 and this terrible thing, and it was never corrected. The slave traders do not get the blame. The people who were the ethnic slave traders, they blame people today, but our country has most everything backwards. They correct and give money to people who are not victims, but more criminals and victimizers. And that's going to be it for now, folks.